Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue painting this adventuring party. We have a gnome, a dwarf, a tiefling, and a dark elf. And what we're going to do is, I've already gathered up all the colors that I think I'm going to need to paint these to completion. And so what we're going to do is we're going to adventure forth. We're going to paint these guys up, and here we go, step by step. Now, this was a commissioned party of adventurers by a friend of mine who wanted me to paint up his adventuring party. And this video is partially for him to see the progress, but it's also to show you guys. And this is part 2. And I was kind of thinking it was going to be maybe a 3-parter, but I don't know, I might get it finished today. Okay, the reason why I say that is because I've gathered my paints. I am basically ready to go. Now, but there is one big change that I wanted to make. On the Warlock, I did not like the fact that I did a charcoal skirt opposed to his very light gray skin. So I'm going to change the color of the skirt. But I needed to also, I was struggling complementing it with the maroon. But I think I'm going to do navy blue with that. Navy blue, and this navy blue I think will go good with the maroon and against his flesh. Alright. Yeah, that's going to look good against his maroon jacket, I can see already. That's going to look good. Now, let's see. And that's going to also contrast against his skin, too. Yeah, this was a much better color choice. If I do say so myself. Okay, we'll put them off to the side. Now, there is another figure, I think it's the gnome, that I wanted to use navy blue for the shirt. There's a shirt, there looks like a shirt underneath. I mean, you almost don't even see anything under there. But the gnome here is a wizard, but we didn't want to go with the traditional like red robes or gray like Gandalf or something like that. We didn't want to do that. We discussed it shortly. You know, Bobby and I discussed it that you probably didn't want to go with the traditional gray Gandalf wizard robes, and we weren't thinking that this wizard was going to be a illusionist or anything like that, so he might go traditional, you know, fireball, lightning bolts, but we know he's going to be, what do they call those, a evoker. He's going to use evocation as a focus. So I'm going to do blues on him. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to the dwarf while those two dry with their blue. And on his brimbuck, I was going to use a bark brown, which is right here. It's like a really dark brown for his padded robes. And also be aware that I was thinking of either putting a wash on this top of this brown, or maybe a lighter brown dry brush on top of the brown to bring out all that detail of the padding, because it's kind of like woven. Because I think this dwarf was modeled after a Shugenja. Alright, we'll put that brown off to the side. Alright, now on the Dark Elf Warlock, what we're going to do is we're going to... It is Dark Elf Warlock, right? Yeah. We're going to use light gray for his hair. That's right. Finding his ears, making sure we don't hit the ears. Some strands of hair actually go over the robe. Or I should say the mantle cape thing. Alright, there we go. Alright, now I'm going to use camel for the gloves. Yeah, the camel gloves is basically going to be for all the characters. They all bought their gloves from the same shop. No, it's just that I think I've got a couple of pair of gloves, and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know, I actually have a pair of camel, well, not, yeah, I guess it is camel skin. Camel skin is like the most durable. I bought some cavalry gloves, and I think they were camel skin. And those gloves are like really long, like all these gloves that they're depicting on these models. So I said, you know what? I'm going to give them camel gloves. It might be cow skin. It could be deer skin. It's just that I'm using this color. I'm not coloring the gloves white or, you know, dyeing them white or red or blue or anything like that. I'm going to leave it bare camel skin. Okay, that glove looks awesome. A couple of camel skin gloves there. Now, the reason why I'm using camel skin and not color them is to basically make them stand out. Make it pop on your model. Your model's going to be like, bam, he's got camel skin. Or he's got, or not really just camel skin, but it's going to say, damn, he's got gloves. Yeah, I thought about doing white specifically for this model here because I thought it would stand out really good. But with gray hair and white skin, or white, no, yeah, like gray skin and like almost white hair, I didn't want to add more white to the model. Yeah. That's some of the things that went through my mind. Just trying to make it look as good as possible. Okay, now the one that's casting the spell might be a little more difficult because I don't want to get paint up inside the spell itself, and with his hand being white inside the spell, I thought the camel would look kind of cool on it as well. But I'm going to make this spell a fire effect, so it's going to kind of disguise his hand inside there. And I say that because it's clear and you can actually see inside. One little spot. All right, he's got his gloves on now as well. See, and that doesn't have, that adds a pretty good contrast to the rest of his outfit. I kind of like it. And the rogue. Now I thought about giving the rogue like black gloves or you know, like a dark blue glove or something like that. But I decided against it. No dyed gloves here. And I wanted the contrast. I want the hands to be I want your eyes to be drawn to the hands, like where they're at, what they're doing. It'll make the model look more animated because your eyes will be drawn away from the general pose of the model to the hands, and all these models have their hands are all doing something, so I wanted that. And I wanted a semi-realistic looking model. I didn't want it to be too fantastical. Yeah, it's a fantasy world, but it's like based in reality. You know, fish aren't flying through the air and birds swimming, you know, so it's got some kind of realistic, you know, you have cows, you got birds, you got fish, you got snakes, and that's all real stuff, right? Villagers, gold. The money's not made out of like plastic. Even though if it was, that would still be realistic because plastic is a real item. Okay, so there's his gloves. Boom! They really draw your eyes off to the gloves. All right, we're going to do the dwarf with his traditional hair, which is going to be red. But as you can see, I pulled in a medium yellow. And you're like, Mr. Everything, why are you painting his hair yellow? Because I'm going to make it red. This is a red hair technique that I've learned a long time ago. And if you watch, you too could be an expert at painting red hair. I mean, the character might have like brown hair or black hair, but Bobby didn't tell me. He said he was going to leave it up to me. So I said, all right. Dwarf equals red hair. Not always, but... But I want to show off this technique. No, I don't. Actually, I just rubbed some paint off on my hand. Damn it. Damn it, Janet. I love you. Okay, sorry. Oh, there's some hair. Oh, and his beard, too. Dang, I totally forgot. I hope I got enough yellow. Dang, his beard goes all the way down to there. And it's all going to be red. Now, if you've noticed, I'm kind of leaving a little black border between the beard and anything the beard's resting against. It helps out when you go to do black lining at the end. because then the black line's already there. So what I'm saying is you don't have to paint all the way up to the edge. You want there to be a little black line. Okay, so this guy's got some hair hanging down over here too. Okay. That comes from behind the ear. Am I going to be able to touch that? Let's see. Look at that. I did it. Okay. Okay, so we got the... I mean, he looks good like that, actually, but I'm still going to make it red. But I have to let the yellow dry before I can go forward with the red. So let's hold that back a little bit. Now, there's a couple of guys, the gnome here and the warlock. The warlock has fire, and the gnome, it looks like that's a light spell of some kind. See how I just took that clear and turned it yellowish? I keep hitting the camera. Sweet. All right, now not only is the light, which I'm going to go back over that with another color, same with the fire. The fire is also going to have some yellow in it. Let's do a little bit of fire dry brushing on this guy. Okay, so that covers the whole thing in kind of a yellow, but what I want to do is I want to make it more yellow, closer to the hand. So what I do is I do a second coat, but just close to the hand. And I want it to be really hot. Okay, that wasn't enough. When it comes to dry brushing, you have to be patient. You have to use multiple coats and don't try to cake it on. You got to be, if it takes 3, 4, 5 coats, then let it take 3 or 4 or 5 coats. Whatever you do, don't cake it on. And I don't know if you noticed this, but there is, like on the fire, I guess this is like a flame blast or something coming out of his hand. It definitely kind of has two levels. Like it has a first level where the flames kind of stop and then more flames coming out. And that's exactly what I want. I want yellow on the first layer of fire. Okay. See how it's darker here and then lighter yellow there? Okay, that's perfect. Alright, the next color I used was flat blue from Vallejo. And what we're going to do is we're going to put that on the on the tiefling's shirt. Now you can barely see the tiefling's shirt, but you're going to have to look for it. See, there's part of the sleeve. There's another under sleeve there, which we'll paint another color. All right, there we go. We got a light blue. Whoops. Hold on. Okay, very interesting. That shirt was bigger and covered more than I thought it did. But once I started painting it, it revealed itself to me of what its true intentions are. But that's okay, because that's a good flat blue for a shirt. I'm going to put him off to the side, let that dry. Okay, now I was going to make this gentleman's cloak and the same color, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't know what I'm going to do about this gnome's skull cap and drape. I think I was going to go maybe red or yellow or something. Maybe yellow, because yellow and blue goes together really well. Bobby, if you want to share this video or these videos with your crew, go ahead and do that. Let them see how I painted up their models. They might dig that. I'm afraid that yellow might be just a little bit too bold of a change. Wow. That looks good. That looks really good. Okay, so now on this guy's electricity, I'm going to dry brush a little bit of blue. Not a whole lot. It's going to be very, very light, minimal. Because what I do plan to... oh, you didn't even see that. Okay. Because I'm going to put a little bit of white, and then I'm going to actually deliberately brush on some blue later. This is just to color the color a light blue like that. Actually, I probably could live with that as being the electricity right there. Okay, like 3 of them have staffs, so I'm going to paint their staffs raw sienna. I think more paint on my fingers than on the model, but okay. That's 1. Count. The count. 1. Oh, this is that wood that at the top it spins. I thought this was like a leather wrap or something, but it's actually that type of wood that has that really cool spiral at the top. You know, people like to make staffs out of those, even today. And if I drag my brush and I give it some brush strokes, deep brush strokes that shine through, and you can see the black kind of shining through, it makes the wood look like it has grain, or I don't know, you know what I mean, wood grain. Yeah, that's what I meant. So I try not to completely 100% cover it. I try to give it a little bit of a deep cut so that you can see the wood grain. This staff's all bulbous. Okay, Dwarf Wizard, we're going to revisit your hair. And as you can see, I've got some red ink here. And that's what I meant to do. I meant to get some red ink. Now, I have to be very deliberate with the ink. I don't want it to run all over the place. Now I'm painting it on top of the yellow. Now right now it looks like it's red, right? I mean, it's like bright red, but you gotta wait for it to dry. Ink is deceptive. Ink is, you have to have experience with ink and practice, because it doesn't look like it, when it dries, it doesn't look like it does when you put it on. And depending on how red you want the hair is how thick you put the ink on there. Okay, so now I'm just going to set him off to the side and let that dry. Okay, there's a couple of things that are going to be white. I mean pure white. One of them is the pages of the book. Another one I think is going to be dry brushed on my electricity. I think that's it. And I probably should put some kind of magical symbols or something like that on the book. Now I do the sides of the book in white to simulate that there's more than just one page. Because if you just did the top, it would look like, hey, there's only one page. So that book looks good. Ooh, maybe not. What did I do? I missed a spot. Or at least it looks like I might have rubbed my finger or something over it. Now you can use like a vintage white or an antique white on these to make the pages look old, but I didn't want to do that because I've got like this white or whatever, and you can see that it's not the same. This is also going to be a dry brush. To bring out the edges a little bit more. There, bring out the sharp edges of the electricity. Okay, whoops, I almost forgot. The light, I wanted it to have some white to it. Because it's not fire per se, even though it probably is. I wanted it to simulate like a light spell. Like he's lighting up the room. Kind of like Gandalf, you know. Alright, now this is just going to be a really, it's passion. It's purple, right? We're going to do a very small piece on the dwarf. He's got this crystal on the top of his staff, and I wanted it to be something a little different. Done. That's it. That's it for the purple. Really? Yeah. All right. All right. We're gonna do some boots now. I wanted something I wanted a really dark brown for the rogue. The rogue's gonna use a really dark brown boot. These are for the boots. I'm using a lot of dark colors for the rogue because I figured, you know, sneaking around at night or in the jungle or wherever you're at, you're gonna need stealth. So he's probably not going to be wearing oranges and reds and bright gold or something like that out in the jungle or the dungeons of Bobby's World. Need to get Bobby to talk for you over there. No, what is it? What is it from Bobby's World? Mandel, right? He did Bobby. Yep. Super dark brown. Got it. This is the only one with the dark brown boots. The rest are going to have like a real brown boot or a nutmeg. I could go nutmeg. I could do a nutmeg. Let's do some nutmeg. Okay, we're going to go with some nutmeg boots for the dwarf. Nutmeg is very much just a standard brown. It's just a, if you're just saying brown, nutmeg is just brown to me. Those are some big feet. What is that, like a size 16 or something? stabbing the camera. Now, a lot of times when I put the flock on and the basing material and stuff like that, a lot of the boots tend to get covered up. But I paint them anyway, because just in case something shines through. And this brush was having a hard time reaching down inside there because it was so tight. Okay, so his boots are done. Now let me check my Warlock. See, I wasn't sure what color I wanted to paint the Warlock's boots, so we'll get back to that one. We'll go to the gnome. The gnome's going to use the same brown boots. So I was thinking the Warlock could keep black boots or gray boots. I might go charcoal boots for the Warlock. But it doesn't conflict and it doesn't contrast enough with his skin. See, because he's got that gray skin. I'm looking for a contrast. Damn, camera. Need some short brushes. I need more brushes like this that have short handles so I don't go because look at the length of that handle. It's like 6 weight out there. It's supposed to help keep your brush from jiggling. You know, there's something called a pendulum effect. I learned it in rifle marksmanship, actually. The more weight that you add to your rifle or your paintbrush, the less it wants to move around. Okay, so those boots are done. I could just give him brown boots like everyone else, but I don't want to give him the same color boots. Alright, so the Warlock, we're going to go ahead and give him US Field Drab boots, because I wanted him to have something just a little bit different than the rest. Here we go. Keep hitting the camera. Sorry, guys. All right, now for the gnome's skull cap. I thought about this for a while. I wanted to paint it yellow, but I decided I'm going to paint it golden ochre because it's not as yellow as yellow, but it still has a strong yellow tint. It's like a brown yellow. And you'll see once I get it painted on what I'm talking about. And of course you can't see shit. It almost looks like creature on his hat, like a cat. Okay, so this skull cap here, when you look at it from the right, a different angle, it kind of looks like the head of a cat. So I bet you that is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be probably the head of a cat. So we're going to leave that, and I stippled it a little bit. Maybe it is supposed to be an actual skin of a cat, so I stippled it a little bit, meaning I put a little bumps and made it look kind of less smooth like plastic and more like fur. I guess when it dries we'll see. Set that off to the side. I might actually go back in with some brown dots and put some brown dots on it and make it kind of look like a cheetah. We'll see. We'll see. Alright, now the next big project is this guy's robe. It's like the biggest project. We're going to go ahead and paint this guy's robe charcoal. See how it gives the robe color without making it. It still kind of looks black, but more like a black fabric, which isn't always pure black. Like maybe it's sun. It's been out in the sun a little bit. Switching brush sizes to get the piece of the robe that crosses over his shoulders. And I'm also going to paint the undershirt charcoal. So I wonder if the players picked out these models or if it was just Bobby. Okay, Rogue. Alright, now we're going to do the tiefling's hair. Now, I mixed up a couple of colors. I mixed a little bit of my purple. I mixed a little bit of my passion with the charcoal that was already in there. Some charcoal. We got it all mixed up, and now we have the hair color. So, it's going to be like a really dark purple. Now I went to the player's handbook and I read to see what colors that a tiefling's hair should be, and it said it's a wide range of dark colors, black, gray. It even said red and purple. But I figured since the skin tone is already red, we don't need red hair as well. But I did want to make it dark. So my purples I don't think were dark enough. That's why I mixed it. Yeah, that's looking good. Yeah, see, that purple doesn't take away from the model. That actually enhances it, makes it look cool. Okay, actually, before we paint the horns, we're going to paint the back of the book, the binding of the book. We're going to paint it teddy bear tan. That'll give that hair time to dry a little bit. Okay, now like I said, his padded armor has a lot of texture in there, and I want to bring that texture out. So we're going to use the teddy bear as well. And we're going to dry brush it. Onto his texture. You see that? Oh, you can't really see that, but okay. Do you see how that's bringing out the texture? Wow, that looks good. Okay. Okay, we're going to use some Imperial Red on the fire, on the burning hands, or whatever he's using here. And then I'm just going to do, that's the majority of, I don't know if you saw that, majority of the flames is on the second half, right? But I do want to put some of that red up in the yellow. But less of it. There we go. So that looks flamey to me. That looks really good, actually. Okay. That's it for red, right? There's some more red. I'm not putting red in this. I probably could. Let's do a little red on that. Because even though it's light, it's probably fire. Just not a whole lot, just a little bit, because it's more of a light than it is a fire attack or anything. I think. That's kind of what I'm thinking on that guy. Okay, remember that vintage white? Okay, the tiefling's horns are going to be vintage white, which is kind of like a bone color. Alright, so we got the tiefling's little horns going on right there. That's pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to show you each individual one of them as we are right now. We've got the tiefling with his blue charcoal, blue pants, charcoal robe, blue shirt, flesh, bones, gloves. Almost ready to go in on his really dark brown boots. Yeah, almost ready to go. Gnome, wizard, See, there's a little spot right there. I'm going to have to... There's a spot. There's a spot right there that I will have to fix. Then there is the Dark Elf Warlock. Still a lot of detail I got to touch on this guy with his knife and his little cords and stuff. Yeah. And then here's the redhead dwarf with a little bit of electricity coming out of his hands, a little purple gem, his robes, his boots. I still got to do the gold belt buckle, and these things on his shoulder. I still want to touch up on those as well. And then also, of course, naturally, all the bases. All right, so this is day 2, and there will be one more day where I do all the finishing touches. And thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and I'll catch you next time.